In this video, we're talking about the business model. In other words, how you operate your business. Is a business model relevant in today's changing economy, or can it be adapted and improved? If you look at the well-publicized examples of business failures in the past decade, one you might notice above all others is the rapid decline of the high street. The high street retail business model started its decline when the internet shopping era came along. This happened because people wanted convenience. They no longer wanted to spend half the day driving to the high street, finding a parking space, paying for that parking space, and then walking around shops trying to find what they needed, only to be told the item was out of stock and it might be back in later sometime next week. So instead of getting tired feet and lots of frustration, they could get everything they wanted online in 10 minutes and then just wait for it to be delivered. And whilst the online model was clunky to begin with, for those that noticed it, this should have been a warning sign. This was where the retail industry was heading. Only a few businesses adapted to create online versions of their physical stores, but most didn't, as we know. But this actually happened long before the internet age was here as well. The first move towards that convenience factor came with the shopping center idea, or the shopping mall idea if you live in the USA. For grouping lots of shops in one space and all undercover. And the next phase after that was grouping all of those individual products that those separate businesses each sold and grouping them under one shop front, which we now know as companies like Amazon. But we haven't finished this process yet. If you look at the shopping centers, these also started to struggle, although they weren't. Although they were convenient for having everything in one place, people don't want the hassle of having to park the car or catch the bus and then carry everything home. So about 15 years ago, you started to see shopping center operators bring other businesses into the centers as well, such as supermarkets and cinemas, indoor climbing walls, indoor ski slopes, as well as people selling new cars. If you look at those shopping centers where they haven't adapted like this, these are the ones with lots of empty space, and these are going to struggle over the next 5 years. We'll probably see a big shift with what happens to these types of buildings. Walk down any high street now and you'll see the battered remains of a tired and a struggling industry. In my own local high street, there's a well-known stationery shop. I won't name it. There's a well-known card shop, a jewelry store, 8 hair salons, and about 10 cafes or food takeaways. And the rest is empty banks and empty travel agents and closed shops. But look deeper into the financial accounts of all of those businesses that remain, and all of them being part of nationwide retail chains, and you'll notice most of them haven't made a profit in over 10 years. The tactic they seem to be using is to finance those ongoing trading losses by selling off parts of the business, borrowing cheap debt, or selling shares in the company. It's inevitable. These big high street chains, they won't be around 5 years from now either. The same principle applies to supermarkets. This is an industry we'll see move fully online in the coming years. It actually makes sense. Retail space is expensive. Rent, rates, running costs, staff costs, and very limited choice to the consumer. Online space is very cheap in comparison. The current online version of these supermarkets is based around selling whatever is available in that local store, having that staff go around the store picking it, and then delivering it to the customer's house. And this process, I imagine the supermarket is probably losing money on. Compare this to alternative online shopping companies, those that have never had a physical retail store presence. Amazon has giant warehouses all over the country. They have unlimited choice on their website. In some cases, orders are picked by robotic systems. Warehousing costs a fraction of the equivalent size retail space. It's inevitable. This is where the supermarket experience of the future will move to. It's not impossible for these traditional supermarkets to adapt. They too have giant warehouses already, but instead of shipping in bulk by pallet out to each supermarket, they'll need to follow Amazon's example of picking single unit items instead of pallets. Perhaps also using robotics instead of manual labor. And this will be a massive hurdle for them to overcome, as many of their warehouses are sized perfectly for what they already do. So transitioning over to this new model could mean expanding their current facilities and slowly phasing out the delivery to local stores. If they don't adapt, they'll also die over the next decade as well. Either way, it will be a big investment for them to set things up in this new model. But this all boils down to their chosen business model. For many small businesses, they never consider what their business model is. Most people just run the business almost unconsciously, just doing the same as every other business in their industry. In many cases, they follow the same business model that's been used in the industry for over 100 years. Designing a business model isn't easy, and it's not something I can provide an instruction manual to in this short space, but there is one area you can start. First, you have to recognize that over the next decade, things in your industry will be radically disrupted. You can guarantee that. Keep an eye on new entrants to the market, especially those that have got strong financial backing. You can either copy these companies or you can redesign your own business model to compete against these new entrants. There's a concept I created called the 4 types of company. I've created videos on it. If you're interested in learning more and going deeper, but understanding the 4 types of company, identifying which type you fall under, it should provide you with a basic understanding and a foundation to start on if you want to rethink your business model. It also provides a clear focus on what you should be focused on when it comes to growing your particular type of business in the future as well.